take like another minute or so. I don't want to waste too much of your writing time today, but I do want us to practice this. All right. We'll have you share within your small group for like a minute, and then we'll quickly talk about it, and then we'll move on. All right. Okay, so let's give you about, I don't think we need like a whole minute. Probably just, oh, it's moving if you want to watch it. Let's give you about 30. Here we go. I'm going to go all the way.
Oh, hi.
I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to talk in your small group. Just talk in your small group what you think it means and how does it or why does it matter. Okay?
What if you go down?
Put it out. Okay. So let's talk about it really quickly. And you can kind of tell me what you discussed. So the quote by Shakespeare, which is probably one of the most direct quotes he's ever written because most of his quotes are like super like deep with figurative language. He says, laughing faces do not mean that there is an absence of sorrow, but it means that they have the ability to deal with it. I doubt he said that. I feel like this is more like updated. I feel like he would have said something like, he who like, you know, all those like, who they all ended. Right. Okay. So what do we think it means? What do we talk about? What does it mean? People what? People.
I see that like
People who. Yeah. Yes, Brandon.
Because somebody looks happy doesn't mean that there's like no sadness.
Okay.
I feel like that's not really what it's saying.
I think you could make an argument that I think that is kind of what it's saying, right? Mariana, did you have something?
I was going to say, just because they're laughing doesn't mean they're okay. It means that they might have.
Oh, okay. So just because somebody seems always happy all the time doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't had dark times, right? Or haven't had to get through something, right? I mean, think about it. Do you often think that about people? Like people that are happy all the time or positive all the time, do you first initially assume, oh man, their life must be perfect? They must never have it hard. Being honest. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, like, okay, wow. Then you guys are way more evolved than I am, because I would even see, even at my age, I catch myself like noticing like when people have it all together, or like women at church, they always look super nice and they're always so nice and they always bring baked goods and everything. I'm like, oh my God, I hate you, but I can't say that in church. But it's this idea that I'm assuming, right? Like, wow, I bet they just, poop flowers, right? Like everything must be great. And then usually after conversations, right, or as you get to know somebody, you're like, oh my God, wow, they were struggle busting it for a long time, right? So it's this idea that I think it's our first inclination. So if you don't automatically think that, you are a much more evolved person than what I am even still. What is it? Why does it matter though? So what is the big deal? Why is this a quote that needs to be said? I mean, if you already, most of you are evolved and going, you don't make prejudgments, then why does it matter? What's the big deal? What do you got, Haley? Okay, because of what I was just talking about. Okay, Haley.
Because sometimes we can look at people and see like, oh, they're happy and just like leave it alone. But a lot of people that are struggling with mental health, we may like miss the warning signs.
Yeah, especially if they're happy, right? Especially if they seem happy, right? Yeah. Reagan?
I think whenever you judge people like that, it's really easy to invalidate their feelings. Because you're like, oh, well, you're always happy. That doesn't mean that they're bad.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. So, I taught at Lee High School 4 years ago in Baytown, and Daniel Silva was a sophomore. That meant that he would have been a senior. He would have graduated last year, and I went to his funeral a year and a half ago because he took his own life. And Daniel was the happiest person I've ever met in my entire life, like even more positive than I am. Like we would laugh at each other like with how positive we were. And I had no idea. And when I talked to his mother and his sister, they also had no idea. So that is somebody that I keep in mind all the time, right? Like I felt like I should have known, because I had Daniel a lot. Daniel would come in and hang out in my classroom as well. And so I felt like I should have known, but I didn't. And apparently nobody did. So, and you know that. I mean, Daniel's not the only one. There's Robin Williams. I mean, we've seen that a lot, right? That it usually is that. It usually comes as a surprise. It really does. And what it is to Reagan, to that point of invalidating those feelings, right? Or shirking off because somebody's happy, we assume it's not a choice. Right? We assume that everything's going well. That's why we're happy. Sometimes the happiest people are because they're literally making a choice every day that I'm going to choose to do this. Mr. Anderson described it yesterday. We were talking about this because we were talking about Daniel and a couple other of our students in the past that are now older adults. But he's like, you all have a beast inside. There's two beasts inside of you, right? There's a dark one and a light one, in the sense of like positively being light and negativity being darkness. And the idea is what are you going to feed that day? Are you going to feed the beast that's positive, or are you going to feed the beast that's negative? Because if you feed that beast that's negative, it's going to run off the positive one. That beast that's negative is going to grow and grow and grow, which means you're going to become more irritable, you're going to become angry, you're going to become frustrated, or you're going to cry all the time, or you're going to feel like crying all the time, or you're going to feel like sleeping all the time, because that beast is growing, right? Versus if you feed that light beast, imagine then how your focus changes. And so we always ask each other each day, what beast are you feeding today? Because it really does depend. Because it's going to run off the other one. And sometimes we get stuck feeding the negative one, which is what was happening today. Mr. Anderson decided not to come today because he didn't feel well. So I had to take 3 different phone calls, and I had to cover 3 different things of his. And I was getting upset and frustrated. So I told my first period, I'm not feeding that negative beast. I don't want it to run off the other one, right? I want to be like the light one that's like, oh, 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 like doing the little howling at the moon, right? That's the beast that I want. The one that howls at the moon, right? That's light, that's happy. But it is something to think about. And so I know that this one's a little bit more straightforward. The other ones that we come to throughout the weeks will be a little bit more deeper, where you could really have different meanings to it. But it is something to think about, especially like at the beginning of the semester. Okay, so if you haven't yet turned to your rough draft, we want you to turn to, I don't know. I don't know if you draft. I don't know if you just write down ideas. I don't know what your writing process is like. But you want to turn to the work that you've started. And here is what I'm asking that you do today in Schoology. And so if you haven't logged onto the computer, you want to go ahead and start that process. You will need earbuds or AirPods or headphones. Headphones are back behind Brady's head. So if you need headphones today, they're back there. But most of you, if you have your AirPods or your earbuds, they should be able to wirelessly connect. Here's what I'm asking that you do today. You'll notice at the end of the Schoology page at the bottom, there is an assignment for you to open up, and there's a blank Google Doc for you to start writing and typing your essay, all right? But we are asking that you do one more thing. I know the rumor is that I am the best teacher here, and while that is not a rumor, it is fact. I'm not always great at teaching everything because I'm still new. I've only been teaching for 7 years, so that's still actually really new compared to like other people who've been here. So I'm constantly looking for better ways to teach things, especially writing, because you all know my history with writing. It has not been good. So I did find a teacher that I have kind of become friends with. I don't have her personal cell phone number yet. That's my next goal. But we did talk through Twitter kind of a lot over winter break. She's kind of a big deal. She's also a redhead. No, she does not teach here. She teaches in Virginia. She's taught high school. She is now teaching junior high. But you're going to see her. She is going to give you different writing lessons that look like this, and I'll walk you through them real quickly here. She is who I go to. She's kind of been a mentor now for me for quite some time. She is actually who I spoke to over Christmas break about this honors class, right? That I didn't like how it was going. I didn't like what we were doing. I didn't feel right. I don't think I was getting the best from you, and I didn't think I was growing you either. So she validated a lot of my thoughts and then gave me some ideas. This is not one of them, but this is hers. But I did take it, but this wasn't one that she gave me. But so you're going to see her in each of these mini lessons. Her name is Rebecca Odell. And so each of these mini lessons, I want you to choose one that you think might be helpful with where you're at today in your rough draft process. And they're about 2 minutes, like maybe 3 minutes at most. They are not very long. She kind of gets in and gets out real quick, which is why I like them. Long story short is if you are trying to move through a lot of time, so many of you, especially in this class, I think specifically, are talking about things that you've been into for a long time. Like you've been obsessed with a sport or a type of video game or like a person for a long time. The idea is that the long story short helps you move through that long period of time without it getting repetitive or boring. And so if you are at that point where you're stuck on that, going, I don't know how I'm going to go from being 4 and loving softball to now being in high school and playing softball. I kind of want to, somebody was telling me, I want to write a paragraph about every year. And I was like, oh God, I don't have enough time for that. So I was like, I love that idea, but I'm not going to read that. So maybe watch. So she watched that one. She goes, okay, I got how I need to do that now. So if you're looking to try to go through a long period of time, that might be a really good one to watch. Personal parentheses, notice we both said the same thing. Parentheses over there. It's this idea that in our Old Bay seasoning one, she used those parentheses to add details that were funny or humorous or made it light. And so if you're looking to lighten, if you're talking about something maybe a little bit more heavy, or if you're talking about something that has a heavy memory or that you associate with it, or if you're looking to add a little bit more voice or humor, then you might want to watch the personal parentheses. She does a really good job of giving you some really good examples of how you can do that in your writing, like real quick. All right. Single sentence transition. Many of you have this issue, right? Going from one paragraph to the next. It feels like you're hitting a brake, like in driving school, like when you feel like you're getting close to somebody, but you're not. You just keep hitting the brake and getting closer. Which I saw somebody yesterday, and I don't know if they're a student here or not, but I was like, oh my God, that poor driving school teacher. They're like, as they kept hitting the brake button, I was like, oh my God. So that's what a single sentence transition can help you from doing. Stop doing that. Try to do a real easy progression, right? Like, oh, okay, so I just talked about this topic in this paragraph, and now I'm moving on. This single sentence transition, she'll show you how to do it in one sentence. And she does a really, really good job. All right? Magic 3 list, this is like for details. If you're a person that will only give one adjective to describe something, she says it's a magic of 3. Give three adjectives, not just one. Right? If I'm describing like somebody or a scene or a moment, don't just give one adjective, give 3. And so she talks about the magic of 3 when you're using description. Give 3 adjectives versus 1. Scene drop into and opening with context. If you're still not happy with how you've opened your essay, or if, let's just be real, you have no opening for your essay right now, like some of us do, you may want to watch either one of these. These will give you some ideas of how you can open your lesson, okay, or essay. How it's a little mini lesson on how you can open your essay. Okay? Make sense? Choose one. I'm going to pass around some little sheets of paper just to hold you accountable for it. I just need the title of which one you're watching and your name. That's it. That's it. I want you to watch that, and I want you to try to use that in your writing today. Okay? And then the rest of the time is yours. Tomorrow there'll be no warm-up. You won't hear my voice at all except to say, hey, good afternoon. Okay? So that way you have the rest of the class period tomorrow to finish it too.